Some stories remind us that even in our most terrifying moments, the human spirit refuses to be extinguished. This is one of those stories, a testament to courage, quick thinking, and the unbreakable will of a child who refused to become a victim. 8-year-old Sophia Martinez loved 3 things more than anything in the world: her mother's Sunday pancakes, the sparkle of morning dew on rose petals, and the way her small town's library smelled like adventure and possibility. She was the kind of child who saw magic in ordinary moments, who believed that kindness could change the world, and who never walked past a flower without stopping to admire its beauty. On what seemed like an ordinary Tuesday afternoon, Sophia's life transformed from a fairy tale into a nightmare, and then, through her own remarkable courage, back into a story of hope that would inspire millions. The afternoon sun painted golden streaks across the sidewalk as Sophia walked home from her best friend Emma's house. She clutched a handmade bracelet Emma had given her, purple and pink beads spelling out brave, a friendship gift that would prove prophetically significant. Her mother had given her one rule: walk straight home, no detours. But when Sophia saw a kitten darting into an alley, her compassionate heart couldn't resist. She followed the small creature, speaking in gentle whispers, promising safety and warmth. She never saw him coming. A hand clamped over her mouth. Arms lifted her off the ground as if she weighed nothing. The world spun in a terrifying blur of confusion and fear as she was carried toward a van parked in the shadows. This was every parent's nightmare, every child's worst fear. But this story doesn't end in darkness. Inside the van, Sophia's mind raced. She remembered her mother's words from their safety talks: stay calm, stay smart, look for opportunities. But she was just 8 years old, trapped with a stranger whose intentions she couldn't bear to imagine. Terror threatened to overwhelm her, but something deeper stirred within, a fierce determination to see her mother again, to feel safe again, to live. The kidnapper drove erratically, muttering to himself, checking mirrors obsessively. He seemed nervous, unstable, unpredictable. Sophia sat in the back of the van, her hands trembling, her heart pounding like thunder in her small chest. She noticed everything: the smell of cigarettes and fast food, the religious medallion hanging from the rearview mirror, the boxes and bags scattered throughout the vehicle. And then she saw it partially hidden beneath a blanket, a large, rolling suitcase. When the van finally stopped at a rundown motel on the outskirts of town, the kidnapper made a critical mistake. He left Sophia in the van while he went to check in, warning her with threatening words that chilled her blood. He locked the doors from the outside, believing an 8-year-old couldn't possibly escape. He underestimated her completely. The moment he disappeared into the motel office, Sophia's survival instincts ignited. She looked at that suitcase and made a decision that would save her life. Her hands shook as she unzipped it, her breath coming in sharp gasps. The suitcase smelled musty and was filled with clothes, but she emptied it with frantic speed, tossing items aside with desperate urgency. Could she fit? Would he find her? What if she suffocated? The questions screamed through her mind, but she had no time for fear. She heard his footsteps returning. With a final surge of courage, Sophia curled her small body into the suitcase, pulled the zipper closed from the inside as much as she could, and held her breath. The world became darkness and the sound of her own heartbeat. She felt the van door open, felt his weight as he climbed in. She heard him curse when he realized the back was in disarray, heard him shuffling things around. Her leg cramped, her chest ached from holding her breath. Fear whispered that she'd made a terrible mistake. But she stayed silent. She stayed hidden. She stayed brave. Minutes felt like hours in that suffocating darkness. She heard him making phone calls, heard fear in his voice as he realized something was wrong. He searched the van frantically, throwing things aside, shouting in frustration and growing panic. But he never opened the suitcase. Sometimes the best hiding place is the most obvious one. What Sophia didn't know was that her disappearance had triggered an immediate and massive response. Her mother, Maria, had called police the moment Sophia didn't arrive home. Amber alerts blared across phones throughout the state. Every police officer, every volunteer, every parent in town mobilized to find her. Surveillance footage from a nearby store had captured images of the van. Within 90 minutes, law enforcement had identified the vehicle and its owner. The net was closing. Inside her fabric prison, Sophia heard sirens. She heard shouting. She heard the kidnapper's voice rising in panic, heard him scrambling, heard the van door slide open. Then came the most beautiful sounds she'd ever heard. Police, hands up. Get out of the vehicle. She wanted to scream, to call out, but fear held her frozen. What if he heard her first? What if this made things worse? Officer James Chen was the first to thoroughly search the van. He moved boxes, checked compartments, refused to give up even though the suspect insisted no child was there. And then he saw the suitcase. Something told him to check it. Call it intuition, experience, or divine intervention. But he unzipped that suitcase and found himself staring into the most frightened, tear-stained, beautiful eyes he'd ever seen. "Hi, sweetheart," he said softly, his own eyes filling with tears. "You're safe now. You're so brave. You're safe." Sophia unfolded herself from that suitcase like a butterfly emerging from a cocoon, transformed, traumatized, but alive. She fell into Officer Chun's arms, her small body shaking with sobs that seemed to hold all the fear she'd been too terrified to express. Behind police barricades, Maria Martinez collapsed in grateful tears when she heard those precious words. "We found her. She's alive. Your daughter saved herself." The news of Sophia's escape spread like wildfire. Social media exploded with her story. News channels called her the bravest little girl in America. Parents held their children tighter. Self-defense experts praised her quick thinking. Psychologists marveled at her composure under unimaginable pressure. But Sophia didn't feel like a hero. In the days that followed, she struggled. She had nightmares. She jumped at sudden sounds. She was afraid to leave her mother's side. Trauma doesn't disappear just because you survive, it lingers. It transforms you. It demands processing and time and support. Her mother held her through the nightmares. Therapists gave her tools to process the terror. Akina said her community wrapped around her like a protective cocoon. Emma never left her side. That brave bracelet now carrying a weight and meaning neither girl could have imagined. 6 months later, Sophia stood on a stage she never wanted to be on, receiving a Citizen Courage Award from the governor. She wore a beautiful white dress adorned with small butterflies, symbols of transformation and hope. Her hair was styled in soft curls, and someone had let her wear a touch of lip gloss that made her feel grown up and special. But the real glamour wasn't in the dress, or the ceremony, or the applause that thundered through the auditorium. The real glamour was in her eyes, eyes that had seen darkness, but chose to see light, eyes that reflected both pain and possibility, eyes that refused to let fear write her story. When she spoke into the microphone, her voice was small but steady. "I was really scared. I still get scared sometimes. But my mom taught me that being brave doesn't mean you're not afraid. It means you do what you need to do even when you're terrified. I want other kids to know that if something bad happens, your brain is smarter than you think. Trust yourself and never, ever give up." There wasn't a dry eye in the building. Today, Sophia is thriving. She's in therapy, she's back in school. She still loves library books and morning dew on roses. Her story inspired new child safety programs in schools across the nation. Parents have difficult but necessary conversations with their children because of her. Lives have been saved because she spoke about her experience. The kidnapper is serving multiple life sentences, unable to harm another child ever again. Officer Chen keeps a photo of Sophia on his desk, a reminder of why he does what he does. And Maria Martinez thanks God every single day for her daughter's brilliant mind. her courageous heart, and that suitcase that became a sanctuary instead of a tomb. This story isn't just about survival. It's about the extraordinary courage that lives inside ordinary people. It's about a little girl who loved pancakes and flowers and friendship, who was thrust into horror but refused to surrender to it. It's about the reality that evil exists, but so does resilience. That darkness is real, but so is light. That we can be victimized, but we don't have to remain victims. Sophia's story reminds us to teach our children awareness without stealing their innocence, to give them tools without giving them fear, to prepare them for danger while encouraging them to see beauty. Most importantly, it reminds us that inside every human being, even one who stands just 4 feet tall and still sleeps with a nightlight, lives a warrior capable of extraordinary things. The bracelet Emma made still sits on Sophia's wrist. The word brave has faded slightly, but its meaning has only grown stronger. Because true bravery isn't about never being afraid. It's about hiding in a suitcase when you must, emerging when you can, and having the courage to keep living, keep loving, and keep believing in tomorrow. This is Sophia's story. May it inspire courage in anyone facing their own darkness. And may we all remember, even the smallest among us can be giants when circumstances demand it.